Hey, welcome into the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from our homes on this Friday afternoon. We'll be here for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics and looking forward to doing so. Wade, what's up?
What's happening, Mo? Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody on this Friday. Man, we got a lot to get into today, and it's a big weekend ahead. Final day in the month of February here. So pumped to be with everybody. The cosmos will align tonight. You'll get the planets all lined up in order, and kind of a little, cosmic energy bringing us into the weekend here, which should be fun.
Yeah, definitely can use that for sure. So, big weekend, big show. In our second segment, we will be joined by VALAIR SHABILLA, the Nashville Soccer Club, 0-0-1, heading north this weekend, taking on the Red Bulls of New York, coming off that scoreless tie last weekend to open the season against the New England Revolution. Check in with VALAIR and get his thoughts on why that was a good thing, that scoreless tie. That's something we can build on ideally. And so get some insight from VALAIR on that. In the second segment, we will be joined by Kevin Ingram of Vanderbilt Radio Network. It's been a big week for the Commodores on the hardwood, looking to continue that this weekend. Also a big trip for the baseball team this weekend. So we will check in with Kevin on all that's going on out on West End. We'll also be talking a little hockey because we need to. Some basketball, men's and women's, college and pro. Little NFL talk. Again, spring training continues. We'll be touching on some MLB notes and try to get you ready for the weekend with some stuff that's upcoming of perhaps local interest. So, again, should be a fun show. Lot to get into. Wade, what's your big thing this weekend? You got ball tonight?
Yeah, we got ball tonight. We got the big Richland Giles County soccer brouhaha that will go down tonight. Inter-county rivalry there. We got the Richland girls in action. And then tomorrow night, you got Richland boys and Giles County boys. Kind of a little bit of everything down here in P-Town this week.
Yeah, region basketball getting started this weekend. Again, spring sports officially began at the high school level on Monday. So a lot of folks getting in their final scrimmages and preseason workout, getting ready for that. But a lot happening on the high school level on top of everything else.
Yeah, this will be a friendly that's not so friendly if you catch up tonight from between Giles and Richland. That should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, have fun with that. The good thing is it looks like you're going to have some pretty decent weather for it.
Should be pretty good. So we'll catch a little bit. In theory, the Richland Raiders, the Lady Raiders should take care of business tonight early, and then we can catch the second half of soccer or vice versa. So hopefully not too much bloodshed by the time I get out to Rotary Soccer Park tonight.
Let's hope not. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Yeah. Hopefully everybody will play nice. We'll see how that goes. You can report back Monday on how that went. Let's go ahead and get into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Lock and load on a feel-good Friday, ladies and gentlemen. The rundown is here. We are off. We are running. Boys basketball scores from last night. It was Clarksville with a 72-65 win versus Rossview. Dixon County takes care of Kenwood 62-47. Henry County topping Clarksville Northwest 55-42. It was Kirkwood 76, Springfield 56. Sorry about your luck, Darian Hudson. Tough one last night for his squad. Women's basketball scores last night. TSU defeating Moorhead 72-61. Lipscomb on top of Bellarmine 76-71. Kentucky downing Tennessee 82-58. West Georgia versus Austin P. It was West Georgia winning that one 58-52. Vanderbilt wallops Texas A&M 91-58. MTSU does the same to New Mexico State 63-41. Belmont on top of Southern Illinois 73-43. It was Union 77, Trevecca 62. Philander Smith defeating Fisk 43-40 in the HBC UAC Championship quarterfinals. And then yesterday morning, it was UT Southern with a 68-63 win in the SSAC quarterfinals down in Montgomery.
Men's basketball action from Thursday night. Tennessee State with a 64-55 win over Morehead State. Middle Tennessee State goes out to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and downs the Aggies of New Mexico State 71-66. Big win for the Blue Raiders there. Union 3 points better than Trevecca, 80-77. And in the SSAC Conference quarterfinals on the men's side, UT Southern falls to Dalton State out of Georgia, 86-75. On the ice, this is not a misprint. The Nashville Predators 2, the Winnipeg Jets 1. We'll talk more about it in a second. Girls basketball action tonight. This is a 4 o'clock start as Hendersonville takes on Cane Ridge. At 5:30, it's McGavock and Mount Juliet. They must be playing at a center. Oh, yeah, they're playing all those games at Hillsboro. Okay. All right, so at Hillsboro at 4 o'clock, it's Hendersonville and Cane Ridge in the Region 6 4A quarterfinals, followed by, again, McGavock and Mount Juliet at 5:30. At 6 o'clock, Shelbyville is at Page. At 7 o'clock, Warren County is at Brentwood. Also, Father Ryan travels to Christ Presbyterian Academy. Battle Creek is at Cannon County. The Lady Grizzlies in their first season, making the Region 5 2A quarterfinals. Coverage of that one at Main Street Murray later tonight. Camden County at Cheatham County at 7. Joe Burns is at Clay County at 7. The rest of these are at 7. Franklin is at Coffee County. Eagleville travels to Cornersville. Creekwood is hosting Hardin County. Gordonsville is at East Robertson. Santa Fe goes to Fayetteville. At 7 o'clock, Beach plays Hillsboro at Hillsboro as that Region 6 4A tournament continues. Fairview is at Jackson Southside. Montgomery Central goes to Lexington. Jackson County is at Liberty Creek. Nolensville is at Lincoln County.
Other games on your docket for tonight, you can catch Chattanooga Christian, who's at Lipscomb Academy. Community is at Loretto tonight. Lawson is traveling to Macon County. Maplewood will play host to Portland this evening. Merrill Hyde will welcome Clark Range to town. Culleoka will be at Moore County this evening. It'll be Kemp Nashville at Pearl Cone. Houston County is on the road at Perry County. Knowledge Academy is traveling to Pickett County this evening. CAK will be at Providence Christian. Huntland will be at Richland tonight. You can listen to that one on Pulaski Citizen Live. White House Heritage will be at Smith County this evening. Hume Fogg is traveling to Station Camp. Other region showdowns. Harpeth will be at Stewart County. Grundy County is traveling to Summertown. McNairy Central will be at Sycamore. Franklin Road Academy will be at the Kings Academy. Good Pasture is traveling to USJ. Murfreesboro Central Magnet will be on the road at Upperman this evening. White House will be at Ballard Collegiate. Watertown is traveling to Westmoreland. Lawrence County is at White County at 7 p.m. And John Overton is going to meet Green Hill. That game will be played at Hillsboro with a start time of 8:30. Also on your schedule for tonight in NBA action, it'll be the Memphis Grizzlies hosting the Knicks. Hope it goes a lot better than it did the last time. They got blown out in Madison Square Garden, but the Grizz will host the New York Knicks at 7 p.m. That game can be seen on FanDuel Sports South.
Boys basketball action on Saturday. These are, well, they're not all region quarterfinals, but most of them are. At 3 o'clock, this goes back to Hillsboro for that Region 6 4A tournament. At 3 o'clock, Antioch takes on Beach. Portland is at Hume Fogg at 4:30. Also at 4:30 at Hillsboro, it's Hendersonville and Overton. At 6 o'clock, Nolensville goes to Shelbyville. Green Hill is at Independence. Coffee County is at Green Hill is at Hillsboro at 6. Coffee County is at Independence at 6. At 7, Boyd Buchanan is at Battleground Academy. Also, Knowledge Academies is at Clay County. Gordonsville goes to East Robertson. Ensworth is at Father Ryan. Good Pasture goes to Harding Academy. Clark Range is at Joe Burns at 7. Siegel is at Lebanon. Merrill Hyde is at Pickett County. Montgomery Bell Academy goes to Pope John Paul II. Grace Christian of Knoxville is at Providence Christian. Fayetteville takes on Richland at 7. Maplewood is at Station Camp. Lawson is at White House. Watertown is at White House Heritage. Also at 7, Huntland is at Santa Fe in boys action. Let's see. At 7:30, Cane Ridge and Gallatin will play at Hillsboro. Times unknown for the rest of these. Wade, what time are Livingston Academy and Giles County playing?
7 p.m.
There we go. Okay. Chester County at Creekwood. We're not sure of a time on that one. Also, Fairview is at Jackson Southside. Montgomery Central goes to Lexington. Macon County plays Martin Luther King. Jackson Northside is at Sycamore. Lawrence County is at Upperman. Also, Culleoka is at Eagleville at 7 o'clock on Saturday.
Godspeed.
There we go.
Doubleheader college basketball coming up on Saturday. Southern Indiana traveling to TSU. That game gets underway. Those games at 1 p.m. on ESPN+. At 2 p.m., Christian Brothers will travel to Trevecca, again, in doubleheader college basketball. Women's college basketball, UTEP is going to be at MTSU at 1 o'clock on ESPN+. At 2, it'll be Bellarmine at Austin Peay. 3 p.m. will be Lipscomb at Eastern Kentucky. 4 p.m. will be Missouri State at Belmont. Again, all those will be shown on ESPN+. At 5 o'clock tomorrow, Cumberland is on the road at Campbellsville, Kentucky. One quick score. This game is almost final. UT Southern is playing in the women's SSAC semifinals. They trail in the fourth quarter, currently 60-46. We'll get you a final score by the time we sign off today. Men's college basketball tomorrow. Big showdown, Alabama at Tennessee. It gets underway at 3 o'clock. You can see it on ESPN. At 3 p.m. on the Plus, it'll be MTSU at UTEP. Back half of that big road swing there for the Blue Raiders. 5 o'clock tomorrow, it'll be Vanderbilt playing host to Missouri. That game will be shown on the SEC network. Athletes Unlimited action tomorrow, 3 o'clock on ESPN+. Team Harris versus Team Sims. Later at 5:30 on the FanDuel Sports Network, as well as the WNBA app, it'll be Team Bradford versus Team Segrist. Again, that one at 5:30. More action in Nashville tomorrow as the Preds, I take that back. The Preds will be on the road tomorrow at the Islanders. That game actually gets underway at 11:30. Puck drop coming your way early tomorrow morning. That could be shown on FanDuel Sports South. Tomorrow night on FanDuel Sports South, you can see the Spurs at the Grizzlies at 7 p.m. and more on NSC later. But the NSC boys will be on the road at New York Red Bulls. That game gets underway at 6:30. You can see it on Apple TV.
Sunday, women's basketball action as Southeastern Conference concludes its regular season. Georgia comes to Thompson Bowling Arena for an 11 o'clock Central Time tip-off. You can see it on the SEC network at 2 o'clock on ESPN+. Vanderbilt is at Missouri. Men's basketball on Sunday. Murray State comes to the Kirby Event Center taking on the Belmont Bruins. That's a 2 o'clock tip. You can see it on CBS Sports Network, but you might want to track down there. That could be a good one. In Atlantic Sun Conference tournament action, North Florida is at Austin Peay. That's a 6 o'clock start on ESPN+. Athletes Unlimited closes out its season at Nashville Municipal Auditorium on Sunday afternoon. You get a 3 o'clock game between Team Harris and Team Bradford. Again, 3 o'clock start. You can see it on FanDuel Sports or on the WNBA app. At 5:30, the final game of the season, Team Sims versus Team Segrist. That one's on ESPN+. And on the ice, the Preds take on the host, New York Rangers, at 6 o'clock Sunday. You can see that one on FanDuel Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And as we mentioned, the Nashville Predators victorious last night at Bridgestone Arena, edging the Winnipeg Jets 2-1. That's the Western Conference leading Winnipeg Jets, owners of an 11-game win streak as they came into last night's play. If anybody can figure out this Nashville Predators hockey team, please let me know.
Yeah, cardiac kids, right? I mean, just when you count them out, they beat the Jets. Just when you buy in, they lose to the Blackhawks. It's all part of the fun. It's all part of the Nashville Predators experience this season. just throw your expectations out the window. Just enjoy each and every single night for what it is. A ticket to a carnival that you really don't know what is going to happen. You don't really know what's going to go on. And on any given night, they can beat a team like Winnipeg. Nashville 4-6 in their last 10 games versus Winnipeg, who has been one of the better teams in the Western Conference over the last couple of seasons. They randomly have kind of had their number, including a win in late December and then another earlier this year. So kind of been up and down, kind of what we expect out of Nashville. Can beat anybody, can certainly lose to anybody.
The Jets' 11-game win streak, they had not lost since January 20th. Now, you had the long layoff for the Four Nations face-off, but still, they had not lost in over a month. They lead the league, not just the Western Conference, but the National Hockey League in wins and points with 42 and 87. But they got 2 goals in the first period, and UC Soros made them stand up. 23 saves on the night. And Wade, is 24 shots. I mean, you're more of a hockey guy than I am. 24 shots in a game, is that a low number or is that fairly normal? What is that for a 60-minute game?
Couldn't tell you exactly. I mean, I suppose it would base on the team, but it seems on the little bit of a lower end. We see goalies with 30-plus saves on a fair number of nights in the league. So 24, a little bit on the lower end of the spectrum, I would imagine.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I just wanted to be sure. Also, Roman Yossi did not play last night, by the way. So,
little Ewing theory on display. Rally for the guys just when you thought they had no shot. Yet again, it strikes. And you're right, Winnipeg is projected. The only real competition they have for the President's Trophy is the Capitals over in the East. They have been the class of the NHL, so yet another head-scratching. The Preds are head-scratching on a nightly basis no matter what they do, win or lose, and that's kind of just where we're at with the team this year.
How frustrating is it for everybody involved with that club that even as bad a season as they're having, they can jump up and beat, the best team in the league?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I said where I'm at. I mean, you kind of just have to throw any expectations out the window. And if you just treat every game on it's almost like a nightly exhibition, the way I'm approaching it. And if you just show up and have fun, if you're expecting them to get hot, I hate to tell you guys, they went from 0.2 right after the Four Nations Cup chance of making the playoffs are down to 0.1 now. Still haven't figured out how the Sharks and Blackhawks are at 0.0 on Money Puck. But the Preds have actually diminished a little bit. So the door's closing in. We'll see what the trade deadline brings over the next week or so. And you kind of just have to like I said, buy a ticket and ride the ride every night. They will beat some more teams that they're not supposed to, and they will also lose to some more teams that they're not supposed to.
Yep. Like you said, buy the ticket, ride the ride.
Just when you throw expectations out, it's fun, right? You just show up and it's like, hey, if we beat the Jets, cool. If not, we're a little bit closer to the first overall pick is the way I kind of approach it. And you tune in, and some nights you're pleasantly surprised, and some nights, you're bitterly disappointed. That's just kind of where you're at, I'm afraid, with them this season at least.
Yep. Forsberg and Novak with the scores early that held up for that 2-1 win for the Predators over visiting Winnipeg. Again, they head out on the road this weekend. They play back-to-back up in New York. Islanders, Rangers should be fun because you never know what to expect.
Yeah, Islanders are pretty bad, so maybe expect a loss. Rangers a little bit better, so maybe expect a win. If they went 1-1 on this trip, I think at this point you'd probably be happy with what you get.
Sure. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we continue with the weekend warm-up, we'll be joined by Kevin Ingram, King Ram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network. Stick around. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door. That starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
The weekend warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are pleased to be joined by Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network to talk a little Vanderbilt. The Commodores, Kevin. Well, first of all, Kevin, thanks for joining us, man. Good afternoon.
Man, anytime, fellas. Good to be here.
Yes, sir.
Better to be here after the trip to College Station on Wednesday night, I dare say.
Yes, absolutely. It was fun. It was a kind of strange game at times. It took about 45 minutes to play the last 3.5 minutes, but all's well that ends well. And it was really a huge win for our season and in trying to get enough on the resume to hopefully get some postseason. So, looking forward to what's ahead. We got 3 more games to play, including tomorrow against Missouri at home.
Yeah, talking about that resume, that was the one thing that everybody that talks about Vanderbilt and NCAA tournament was pointing to, beating somebody of significance on the road. And I dare say y'all did that.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a tough stretch of road games. I mean, you go back to the conference opener at LSU, won that game, but then, every game in this league is so difficult, and we're coming off a stretch where played number 1 Auburn at home and then played Kentucky and Tennessee on the road back-to-back. Actually, it was the other way around, Tennessee, then Kentucky. But, came home and got a big win against Ole Miss and then followed that up with a road victory against Texas A&M. And, A&M's a team that's really hard to play against. And they play really good defense and they rebound really well, especially on the offensive glass. And, they have some threats to score, but they're really a team that's going to try to out-physical people and get a lot of second chance points and second or third opportunities with their ability to offensive rebound. So to play against them and their place and that style, you have to really be physical and really bring it. And I thought our guys did, and had to shoot a lot of free throws or a lot of fouls, but did enough of that as well to get the job done.
What did we perhaps learn from that win, Kevin? Not only just going on the road, but playing physical, it seems like something that you got to be kind of pleased about, it sounds like, if you're a Vanderbilt fan.
Yeah, for sure. You got to and that's one thing Mark Byington stressed to the team after the shoot-around on Wednesday is, look, our talent is pretty even and all those things, but we have to out-physical these guys, and they're going to try to do the same thing to us. And it does have to be pleasing to win in that way. But game in and game out in the SEC. I mean, that's what it takes, no matter who you're playing. I mean, whether you're playing some of the more high scoring teams or teams that have a lot of good big guys or whatever it looks like. I mean, this league is, it's really physical. It's really tough. You guys have to bring it every single game, but especially in a game like Texas A&M. And I think you found out a lot of good things about this team. And this team showed some poise. Really, the last two games had big leads. Saw those go away, saw the other team come back. Same thing with the Ole Miss game. Vanderbilt had a big first half lead, but showed a lot of poise down the stretch in the second half and made the plays and made the shots, made the free throws that it took to win the game.
That poise, too, I imagine that's got to be a little comforting considering, this was a Vanderbilt team that coming into the season, expectations kind of all over the place. And now we're kind of talking about a Vanderbilt team that maybe is putting it together at just the right time coming down the stretch here.
Yeah, Wade, it's been a really fun season. Vanderbilt played really well in the non-conference with 12-1, and you knew the SEC was going to be a grind. It has been for everybody, whether you're playing at home or playing on the road every single game. And there are no feel-good, get-right games in this league. Unless you're Auburn, and you probably feel good and get right pretty much every game. But yeah, it's been a struggle going through the conference. There are peaks and valleys. I think the temperament of Coach Mark Byington really serves his team well. He's very even keel. I mean, he doesn't get too high after a win. He's not down too much after a loss. He just says, okay, we got to try to fix what went wrong and move on to the next one. And I think his temperament and sort of his approach and really the staffs as well has been a good thing for this team. And it's also a team that has a lot of veteran guys, guys who've played a lot of basketball, maybe not necessarily in the SEC, but they're veteran players for the most part. Tyler Tanner, the freshman, making his first lap around a full season of college basketball. And, Jalen Carey's still a pretty young guy. He's a sophomore, but a lot of these guys are a little bit older and have been through it before. And it has been nice to see that poise and see this team get the job done after some games where the second halves were difficult and outscored and in a pretty big way in some of the second halves. And it's really been pleasing to see how this team's performed these last couple games, especially.
Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Kevin, Tyler Nickel was a flamethrower for you guys the other night, 7 threes. Just talk about his game and just in general and, what happened Wednesday night when he really popped off.
Yeah, he did, Mo. He was filling it up. And he's one of those dudes where you see a couple go in and you start to think, oh boy, here we go. He's going to get rolling. I mean, I've watched him all season in games, but I've also watched him a lot of practice and shoot arounds. I mean, this dude can shoot the rock. And the thing that really is good for him is he's tall. He has a high release point. His shot's really hard to block. He can get it away quickly. And a lot of times, if he can really get squared up and get an open look, it's going to go down at a good rate. He's shooting 40% for the season from three after the ones he made the other night. He went 7 out of 10 from three in the game at Texas A&M. That was a season-high 7 3-pointers. He's had a couple games where he scored over 20 points, but those were the most threes that he'd hit in a game. Some of those were really tough ones, too. It wasn't like he was totally square coming off the screen. He had a hand in his face and was able to get the shot away and hit some really difficult shots. And sometimes on a kick out, maybe after an offensive rebound, he hit one that was really deep. But he's fun to watch. He's a great shooter and just been a big difference maker for this team. This guy started his career at North Carolina. He went and played a year or two at Virginia Tech, and Vanderbilt's been thrilled to have him. And the recruiting story for him was pretty interesting for Coach Byington. He's talked about it some that he had a relationship with Tyler going back to when he chose to go to North Carolina the first time around. And I think Coach Byington wanted him to come play for him a couple different times and finally able to make it happen here at Vanderbilt. And he's had a really nice season, averaging double figures. And as I said, 40% from three-point land, that's hard to do, especially in the SEC, where he's really shot it well in conference play. He's shot it better in conference play than he did in the non-conference. So, yeah, as you said, he was a flamethrower the other night. He had it rolling at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I saw some of the highlights, and you talk about a quick release, man. He is a catch and shoot dude. Boom, and it's out. And as much as Texas A&M might have given him some problems defensively, his release probably gives a lot of defenses problems, because if you're not there on the catch, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, especially if you have a smaller defender, who's trying to close out on him or get around a screen, because he's so tall. I mean, he can shoot over you. And, his catch and shoot, it's gone. And it's fun to watch him practice that. And I was talking to him a little bit a couple games ago. He had a rough game at Kentucky. He went like 1 of 5 from 3 in that game up in Lexington. And I was talking to him maybe after the Tennessee game. And he's like, for me, it's more about not just watching video and checking out my mechanics and those things, but just getting out there and putting up a lot of shots, getting a lot of reps in and getting that feel back. And he said he felt like he found some things between the Kentucky game and the Ole Miss game, and then took that into the Texas A&M game. He had a good day shooting against Ole Miss as well a week ago. So it's been a nice stretch for him these last couple games, and I know everybody hopes he'll keep it rolling here.
There was concern coming into the season, Kevin, just about the roster makeup for Vanderbilt, and there was a lot of jokes about everybody being introduced as a point guard at the game and that kind of thing. Is this the way Mark Byington long term wants to play, or does he intend to address the size on that roster going forward?
Oh, I don't think there's any question I'd like to have some more size. I mean, that's something that it feels like a few times this season it has hurt this team, is the depth at those spots. And the whole thing about point guards, it was just basically a point he was making about guys being versatile and, kind of the positionless basketball you see anymore these days. But who the forwards are, obviously, Devin McLaughlin and Jalen Carey. And what a lift J.Q. Roberts gave this team off the bench at Texas A&M. The guy only played maybe 15 or 16 games this season and a handful of games in conference play. But, I mean, he got out there in College Station and was a major factor. When the other two got in foul trouble, he came off the bench, and you're thinking, just give us some defense, give us some rebounds, pull 3 or 4 rebounds, and play some good defense for a few minutes to try to bridge that gap, with the others in foul trouble. He did way more than that. He was terrific, had a big dunk, and he probably got fouled on that play. But JQ's just a tremendous athlete and really, really nice young man. Super happy for him to get that chance and to perform when the opportunity came. But I think between now and next season, certainly, I think one of the priorities is to come up with additional depth and other big guys, and add to that part of it, because there have been some games where if you could have had one more big or a couple more big guys to offset what some of the other teams have, and I think in a game like Missouri, we'll see tomorrow, that's case in point. That it could have made a difference. I can name a couple more games this season where that was also a factor. But yeah, I think that's certainly one of the priorities for this team going forward.
Kevin, I'm also curious, we talked about the team a lot, but break down the vibes on campus a little bit, considering 2 games in the SEC in a row now, and a chance with 2 more at home to kind of close this thing out strong. What's kind of campus morale, especially with a ranked team coming to the crib tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the vibe's pretty good. I mean, it's fun. We've had great student sections for our games, especially these last few weeks when it feels like Memorial on a Saturday has been the winning combination for this team. When you think about all the big victories on weekend games here at home, starting with Tennessee, and then Kentucky was a Saturday game, Texas, and then last week against Ole Miss. I mean, it's been super fun. The student support's been great. It's been fun to see the crowd support pick up and gain some momentum as the season goes along. But yeah, it feels like there's a lot of positivity, and it's fun to think about what's ahead, and hopefully what's ahead here in the next few weeks. We finish up the regular season, SEC tournament, and certainly we hope beyond that.
Kevin, you talk about fun Saturdays at Memorial Gym. It's almost a promo. And this Missouri game tomorrow, going back to the game at Como, is that one that got away from Vanderbilt? I mean, do they look at it that way?
I think there's certainly one you could have won. I don't know if it's one you look at and say we should have won. One of the problems in that game was just got off to a bad start. Not necessarily as much a bad start for Vanderbilt as a hot start for Missouri. They came out and they were making everything in the first few minutes of the game and jumped out to a big lead. And sometimes it takes a lot of energy just to offset that and climb back in the game and get it back to where you want it to be. It feels like you take the start of the game out, Vanderbilt really played pretty well and had a chance, but they're really good. And Missouri's been, to me, they might be the surprise team in the whole country. You look at what Coach Gates has done with that team, and you talk about a group that went 0-18 in the SEC last year, and they have a few guys back from that team that went winless in the SEC, and he's done a good job adding some pieces. Feels like they have a couple X-factor guys. Thinking about Caleb Grill, has heard a whole lot of last year, and he's become a primary source of offense for that team. And they added Mitchell from Duke, has been really good. And that team to me has been one of these stories of the SEC, and maybe an underreported story in all of college basketball. They've really done a great job turning it around, and I mean they're going to make the tournament. They've been ranked and had some really nice wins, including a big road win at Florida a few weeks ago. So, yeah, they'll come in here and they'll be a tough challenge tomorrow. And they create some matchup problems with some of the size that they have and experience as well. So, yeah, he's done a really good job, and Missouri's a very good team coming in here with 21 wins.
It's kind of odd the way the schedule falls because Missouri comes in here on Saturday for a men's matchup, and then the women go to Missouri on Sunday. Just snapped a 2-game skid with their big win against Texas A&M last night. Women closing out the regular season with that game at Missouri on Sunday. Where is Shea Ralph with this squad right now? Again, couple of tough losses against Oklahoma and against South Carolina. Big bounce back last night.
Yeah, it was a nice bounce back, Mo. They had some tough ones, those 2 games you mentioned. Went out to Oklahoma, and that game got away in the second half. Kind of the same thing against South Carolina. Vanderbilt made a run in the third quarter, had it down to 5 or 6 points, and then South Carolina does what South Carolina does. I mean, they're the reigning champs for a reason. Just a great program. I thought it was interesting to hear Dawn Staley's comments after that game that, she felt like she complimented Shea on the job she'd done with Vanderbilt's team and felt like they were a tournament team and would be in the bracket. And, according to all the projections and things, it feels like that's a good possibility. That game last night was Vanderbilt's 20th win. Texas A&M, you fell for them. They were really undermanned. They only had 7 available players. They have some really key injuries to their key players. A couple starters are out. And Joni Taylor just kind of do the best she can to recalibrate their expectations and get the season to the finish and get on to the SEC tournament. But, for Vanderbilt, that was really a big game. And Camille Pierre was unbelievable, especially in the second half. She scored 31 points, and most of them after halftime. She had 9 steals. Vanderbilt racked up 21 steals in that game. They really brought the pressure, were able to get the ball on the sideline, then bring the trap and use that sideline as an extra defender, and all of a sudden you got a steal and you're off to the races to the other end. Transition was really big. Justine Passat was hot from 3-point land, and Michaela Blakes does what she does. She didn't have her biggest game. She didn't really have her shooting eye like she does some games, but she's going to get her double-figure points, and she's been amazing to watch. So when you have a duo like Michaela Blakes and Camille Pierre, who averaged about 44 points a game combined, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch that not many teams have. You just need that extra support to go with them. It's going to be fun to see how this team performs, and they head over to Greenville and play in the SEC tournament this coming week, and then, of course, on to postseason after that. But, yeah, it's a tough grind in women's basketball in the SEC as well. You got so many good teams. You got teams that are going to be number 1 seeds. You got a reigning national champion, and so you try to navigate your way through it. But Vanderbilt's been able to get some big wins, and I think Shea felt a lot better after just putting something on the board in the win column last night and moving on to play that regular season finale you mentioned over in Columbia. But it is an interesting schedule where both teams play Texas A&M and the 2012s here in the last week. Those teams came in the league at the same time.
Yeah. Big weekend for the baseball team. I know a lot of people aren't necessarily in baseball mode yet, but anything that says warmth, to me, I'm all about it. Vanderbilt going out to Southern California this weekend, taking on UCLA, USC, and UConn, trying to find the sun, I guess. What are you hearing? What is Tim Corbin and what are those folks saying about this trip out there?
Well, it's originally supposed to be I think it's called the Dodger Town Invitational or Classic and play at Dodger Stadium. But they're doing a big renovation at Chavez Ravine, so they had to move it to campus sites. And as you mentioned, Vanderbilt will play at UCLA tonight. They'll play at USC tomorrow. And then UConn, they'll play the Huskies at UCLA on Sunday. So those will be good opponents. Those programs are always good and have a lot of tradition there. And it's interesting. Vanderbilt was just out west a couple weeks ago. They played out in Arizona around Phoenix, the MLB Desert Invitational to start off the year. Won 2 out of 3, played really well in the homestand, swept all 6 games, including a 3-game series sweep against St. Mary's. So I think this team's sort of finding his footing still. Tim Corbin, as he does often early in the season, trying to figure out which lineups work and trying a lot of different guys. I really like Cody Bowker, the right-hander who pitched. He's been the Sunday starter for the first couple weekends. He pitched really well against St. Mary's, had that fastball moving well. So I think folks are going to enjoy watching this team. It's a bit of a new look team. There are some familiar faces, including R.J. Austin, who's preseason all everything. That guy's just a fantastic talent and player. But yeah, it's a new look certainly with the weekend rotation. You have the left-hander J.D. Thompson has been the Friday night guy, McIlvain on Saturday, and then Bowker on Sunday. But it may take this team a little while to figure out how to make all the pieces fit together. But I think the end result's going to be really good for Tim Corbin's group.
You mentioned R.J. Austin. Is he settling into a position defensively, or is he going to continue to be the Swiss Army knife for Tim Corbin?
He's been the Swiss Army knife. He's played a little bit of everywhere. Saw him a lot at second base, some at first base last year. By necessity, they played him at shortstop toward the end of the season when Vastine was out for a little bit. He's playing outfield this season, a lot of center field, seen him some in left. I think that's probably where you're going to see him because Vanderbilt is pretty heavy on infielders. Having Mike Mancini and Jaden Davis as second base is a good problem to have, trying to figure out playing time for those two. Vastine is established at shortstop. There's no question about that. And you have some younger guys, some transfers. You plugged in those other spots. But I think you feel pretty comfortable with RJ playing center field or left field. He certainly has the speed and all the tools to play wherever you want him to play. You can install him pretty much anywhere, and you're going to feel pretty comfortable.
Just got to keep Jaden Davis healthy, right?
Yeah, he had last year. He got hit in the face in that series against Mississippi State, and that kept him out for a big chunk of the season. And he's come back. He swung the bat really well to start off the year. And Mike Mancini, the transfer, has come in. They're really excited about what he brings at second base. And I asked Tim Corbin about it the other day. We had a chance to sit down with him, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out because we need the bats for both those guys, but they're both experienced players, both good hitters, and both good fielders." So, like I say, that's a nice problem to have when you have those two guys.
It doesn't matter at this point in the Southeastern Conference, but Jaden Davis hit 600 his senior year at Cookeville High School.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's
like
just,
that.
No matter what level you're playing at, you hit 600. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
That's just amazing to me, man. Yeah. So again, hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to contribute for the Commodores. Kevin, we appreciate your contributions and look forward to getting you back on again soon. Thank you for visiting with us for a little bit.
Oh, anytime, fellas, and thanks for rolling out my logo. That's my only requirement when I come on, and it's always great to see the INGRAM logo.
You got it, baby.
You can feel free to use that as needed, Kevin.
Oh no, this is an exclusive. You don't want it to be oversaturated.
We understand. Hey, man, thank you. We'll catch up.
Hey, anytime, fellas. Thanks, guys.
All right. Hey, when we continue on the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports today, we'll talk a little bit more hoops. Stick around after this break.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Weekend warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Man, I was trying to keep up with that Tennessee-Kentucky game while I was down at the AU games last night, Wade, and it never was very good. Final score, Kentucky 82, Tennessee 58 up in Lexington, and I mean, I didn't get much of a feel for it, but it sounds like they didn't shoot it particularly well. And that's something that we've talked about. When the three ball isn't falling for Tennessee, 6 of 29 from behind the arc, it can get ugly. But it got ugly all over the floor, 23 of 74 overall.
Yeah, tough night last night for the Lady Vols, and kind of like a more successful version of the Preds in a sense. They can beat anybody with the way they're capable of playing. They can also lose. Not dismissing Kentucky by any means. That was a massive victory for Kentucky to kind of hold serve. They got no shot of winning the SEC, but they certainly are in the mix maybe for that top 4 position, and that was one they needed desperately to get at home, and they took care of business. Tennessee really, never gave themselves a shot. Only scored 9 points in the first quarter and gave up 20. So, I mean, they were trailing big early, and we've seen them make some valiant comeback bids, some even successful this year, but it was not meant to be versus a scrappy and determined, hungry Kentucky team last night.
You know, that may have locked up a top 4 seed for Kentucky, actually, which is a good thing because they've got they got to go to South Carolina Sunday to close things out. But, yeah, they are currently in 4th. Yeah, that's going to lock it up because they're a game up on Alabama. They are currently 4th at 11-4 in conference play. Alabama and Oklahoma are each 10-5. I don't know how Kentucky and Alabama came out. Kentucky won back at the end of January, so I would imagine they hold the tiebreaker there. So that probably locked up that 4 seed for Kentucky with that win. Meanwhile, it looks like Texas and South Carolina may be headed for a coin flip at the top of the league to determine the number 1 seed. They're both 14-1. Again, South Carolina finishes against Kentucky. Texas finishes at home against Florida. So should both of them win, and that would be the expectation, I think it's going to be a coin flip. I think all of the other tiebreakers have been exhausted.
Get them in Sankey's office, meet them in a shady diner in Birmingham, and let's flip this thing, baby. What else more could you want with South Carolina, the top team, the perennial powerhouse in the country, versus, a little old school Texas? Why not have a coin flip? That seems perfectly ingrained for the Longhorns there.
I was watching SEC Now late last night, and Alyssa Lang, friend of the show, was hinting that Sankey might just be on Sunday's show for that coin flip, if that's what it comes down to. So that could be interesting as well. Little made for TV moment right there. It was interesting, intriguing, I guess, when Kevin was talking about the women's situation and number 1 seeds and reigning national champions, and I had the thought, and they're not the same team, because right now the second top 16 reveal for the NCAA tournament took place yesterday, and Texas is projected as a number 1 along with UCLA, USC, and Notre Dame. Conspicuous in their absence is South Carolina. Right now, they are projected as a number 2 seed, which I would certainly hate to have to play a number 2 South Carolina for a number of reasons, one of which being that you best believe that Don Staley would use that as a little bit of motivation.
A little motivation, but USC and UCLA do meet this weekend. So in theory, depending on how much you evaluate things, maybe one of them slides off. And then obviously, who knows what happens in the conference tournament.
Yeah. So you've still got some stuff between now and then.
Hypothetically, one of them teams can lose twice, right? I mean, you could lose the regular season finale and then get also beat in the conference
finals.
For sure.
Yeah, that's kind of tough because you got to figure they are going to see each other in the Big Ten finals. I'm not sure who prevents that from happening, but yeah. Again, UCLA, Texas, USC, and Notre Dame currently projected as your 4 number ones. South Carolina, UConn, LSU, and NC State on that number 2 line. This projection was announced prior to last night's games. So TCU, North Carolina, Duke, and Tennessee were your number 3 seeds. I don't know if the Kentucky loss would have impacted that. Oklahoma, Kentucky, Kansas State, and Ohio State were your number 4 seeds as projected in the reveal by the NCAA. So something to think about as we head into the final weekend again of the regular season in the SEC and get ready for the SEC conference tournament next week. So some things to keep an eye on there. We talked a little bit during the rundown, but Middle's men got a big win last night on the road, 71-66 out at New Mexico State. And with that win, they put themselves within a game of first place in Conference USA with 3 games left to play. 3 teams in that mix because I guess Jack State lost last night. They are behind.
Yeah, Liberty got them. Huge. 59-55, yeah, and Chip had talked about that was the pivotal game, and UTEP losing. Western Kentucky said, hey, we don't necessarily like to root for these guys, but rooting for them gives you a little extra breathing room. So MTSU kind of got every scenario in their favor. Kennesaw State even lost to lowly Florida International last night. So the 4 games in CUSA all kind of quote-unquote broke in MTSU's favor last night.
Now they just got to continue taking care of business when they go to UTEP tomorrow. So, but yeah, they've got a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Interesting announcement. Well, I don't even know if it was an announcement, but there's an article on NashvillePost.com from friend of show, John Glennon. Bridgestone will host Gonzaga and Kentucky in a men's basketball game in December. Not a tournament or anything like that, just a one-off regular season matchup. Apparently, this is part of a 4-game series that these two entered into prior to the 22-23 series. They played once at Spokane. They've played at Rupp. They played earlier this year in Seattle. And now they're going to play again in December 5th specifically at Bridgestone. No time announced yet. Tickets go on sale next Friday, March 7th. So have fun with that on Ticketmaster.
Yeah, so I saw Bridgestone pop the news out today on the gram, and I was like, oh, man, this is a little early. But, yeah, you might as well get it, and you might as well snag them if you're a Kentucky fan because after playing out in Spokane, then in Lexington, you kind of have the neutral site-ish, still clearly out in the West, but at a bigger venue out in Seattle. And now you get the return of that. Don't dare play in Louisville, but instead bring it on down to Nashville. And you kind of get to buy in, give everybody a little dose of Broadway. That should be pretty fun. That's an exciting get for Bridgestone yet again.
We want to continue to put our team in challenging situations and provide Kentucky fans with opportunities to see Kentucky's team play across the country. Nashville has been good to Kentucky over the years, and we look forward to seeing lots of blue in Bridgestone Arena in December. So saith Mark Pope. Kentucky's 20-6 at Bridgestone in postseason play. That's SEC tournament and NCAA tournament action. So they certainly know how to get here. So should be an interesting matchup. Kentucky Gonzaga, December 5th at Bridgestone. Going back, we talked a little bit yesterday about Kentucky's win out at Oklahoma, 83-82, aided in large part by a couple of guys, one from Oklahoma, one from Oklahoma State. Well, former Oklahoma State player Brandon Garrison, as they were leaving the floor after that game, apparently had a, quote, beverage can thrown at him. There's some speculation as to whether it was a beer can or not. I didn't realize they were selling beer at college games in cans, but maybe that was the mistake. Nearly hit Brandon Garrison in the head. I had to duck to keep from getting hit.
Oof.
So, yeah. Oklahoma is investigating the incident, apparently. So somebody's going to lose some tickets.
Yeah, I love this too. They
video.
got a hotline already set up. You can email tips. So I don't know necessarily who's doing that, but if you feel compelled, you got a chance to state your piece there.
That's not good though. I mean, all jokes aside, you can't be doing that stuff. And as much as it's going to hurt somebody to lose some tickets, I don't know if this is a season ticket holder or what. You got to be pretty close to the floor for something like that to happen. So
yeah, in Oklahoma, you're already in the SEC, guys. You don't. I mean, hey, we believe you. You're already in the league. You ain't got to go and prove it even further. Yeah, we believe you already. No need for Marshall Henderson clips to get revisited. No need for Ole Miss football games to get revisited. We believe you. You're already in the SEC, Oklahoma.
Speaking of Kentucky, former Wildcats coach Rick Pitino led St. John's to a Big East regular season championship, and that gives a piece of history, basically. He is the first coach in men's college basketball to lead 5 different teams to conference championships. Did so with Boston University, Kentucky, Louisville, and Iona prior to doing so with St. John's this week. So that's, well, I mean, it means you've been in a lot of places for one thing, but you've been successful everywhere you've been. So it's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, it's been a great ride. They had a pretty solid, first season last year, but then obviously really getting things clicking. Their offense is still too subpar, I think, to really make a run at it, but their defense is elite. Tennessee ranked number 1 in advanced defense on KenPom. St. John's right there at number 2. And I've mentioned before, St. John's is basically a poor man's Tennessee, a Tennessee light, if you will. There's your beer reference there. And so St. John's, I don't know if they got the goods, but man, that's a heck of a turnaround in short order for Pitino.
It's a heck of a turnaround, and they may or may not have the goods, but it sounds like you don't necessarily want to see them either. So,
no, you give them the right matchup. They can make a run. I don't think they can win it all, but they can certainly make a deep run.
Yeah. News out of San Antonio, apparently Greg Popovich will not be back for the remainder of this season after suffering a stroke back in November. I've decided not to return to the sidelines this season. Mitch Johnson and his staff have done a wonderful job, and the resolve and professionalism the players have shown sticking together during a challenging season has been outstanding. I will continue to focus on my health with the hope that I can return to coaching in the future. Pop, 76 years old. You might not necessarily know it to look at him, but yeah, he sustained that stroke in early November at the arena and went into rehab 2 weeks later. Again, 76 in his 29th season. So he is the NBA's oldest and longest tenured head coach. 5-time NBA champion, 3-time NBA Coach of the Year, 2023 Naismith Hall of Fame inductee, and is the all-time wins leader amongst. So, you know, I don't know that anybody would necessarily be surprised if he did come back, but I don't think these are the terms that he wants to leave on either.
Yeah, I would say probably not. And kind of surprised the formal announcement took this long because, you know, everybody's been thinking and wishing him the best for weeks and weeks now. But kind of get the piece out there, kind of said, and kind of let the dust settle. We'll see if he makes another run at it next year.
Absolutely. Hour number 1 of the weekend warm-up here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. After this break, we will get into hour number 2, and we will get into the grab bag. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilai Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today starts right now. But before we get into the grab bag, scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do, came across a release from the Philadelphia 76ers from 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
On X. The Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid have been consulting with top specialists regarding ongoing issues with his left knee. After further evaluation, it has been determined that he is medically unable to play and will miss the remainder of the season to focus on treatment and rehabilitation. We're working with medical experts to determine the exact treatment plan and will update media when we have more information. The team and specialists will continue working with Joel to ensure the best path forward for his long-term health and performance. Man. Um, another lost season, I guess, for Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and it's crazy, right? You know, the surgery that they're talking about doing for this guy, I mean, it makes my skin crawl. They're talking about blasting a piece of his hip, breaking his hip basically intentionally, and then using that to potentially tear the ligaments in his leg. I don't want anybody messing with my hip. I don't care if you're going to fix my leg or not. And man, I mean, we're talking about. It sounded like he tried to exhaust every option to come back, but yeah, it's for a team that's already 18 under 500, several games out of the play-in situation. You hate to say it. Hopefully you haven't seen the last. I think we definitely have seen the last of the best of Joel Embiid, but hopefully you have not seen the last of him in general.
You know, to your point, though, I mean, you're sitting there saying, wait a minute, you're saying that you're going to break my hip to fix my knee.
Everything about that sounds icky, right?
There's nothing good about it. No, there's nothing appealing about that. But then I'm not a finely tuned athlete, although I'm not sure that Joel Embiid is either at this point. I mean, that's unfortunate. Seriously. When
it's described as quote radical procedures to heal your knee, that's never good.
That's pretty radical. Yeah.
I thought it was radical. My chiropractor getting in there and tweaking around this morning. And I can't even imagine somebody breaking my hip on purpose.
On purpose. You meant to do that. Yeah. Oh, wish him the best of luck, obviously.
They've lost 9 in a row.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and sit this one out, Joe. If you've been watching the NFL Combine, and plenty of people clearly are, you've probably noticed that the Lucas Oil Stadium surface has not been kind to some folks. A lot of folks have been slipping, linemen in particular. Apparently, the turf is different, according to an article on CBS Sports, with the traditional pitting of rubber pellets replaced by more environmentally friendly infill. The new infill is an organic blend of cork and coconut husks and is designed to mimic actual grass more than artificial turf, makes the turf slightly slower. Xavier Worthy says, thank you for doing this year and not last year. Adding shock absorption and traction, whereas typical turf with rubber pellets offers a firmer, springier base. The new turf also requires periodic watering to maintain its properties. Watering artificial turf. But at any rate, the result, the different infill has created a slipperier surface on top of everything else. So it kind of seems like one of those unintended consequences, but that may explain why some times are down kind of across the board at the Combine this week.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that. I watched a little bit of it right before the gym last night, and yeah, the defensive linemen in particular were kind of sliding all over the place, and they're doing the best they can to get up and recover. But I mean, man, that's got to be frustrating. Getting ready for your big moment and kind of something that you really don't have much control over kind of impacts you. One guy that did stand out, though, Mo, and we interviewed Big Landon Jackson, who's at Arkansas 2 years ago at SEC Media Days. All he is 6'6", 265 pounds. He actually had the best showing of anybody, and he's projected to maybe sneak into the first round. He was one of the only guys that I saw that actually was able to kind of keep his footing because everybody else was really kind of just slipping and sliding. And you could tell something was up. It wasn't just trying to go too fast. It wasn't like they were a cartoon and their legs were just spinning out from underneath them. Something going on there.
And like you said, that's got to be tough when you feel like there's so much on the line, you know, based on your performance, and then you go out there and you slip like that through no fault of your own necessarily. And you know, we talked about earlier this week the number of folks who are not, you know, taking part in the workouts at the Combine. Travis Hunter being the latest. But if you're going to put me out here on this surface and I'm not going to be able to perform at my top level, what exactly am I doing here?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go academic, you're hoping everybody grades you on a curve now. Everybody's got to be kind of held to a little bit lighter standard because this is interesting. And if I'm also there, I'm thinking, I kind of hope the Colts don't, I'm grateful for any opportunity, but I'm also kind of hoping the Colts don't grab me because this place is not the best to run on.
Yeah, I'd much rather only play here once than 8 or 9 games for sure. We talked earlier this year about Travis Kelce, or earlier this month about Travis Kelce and his prospects for playing in 2025. Apparently that has been clarified. In a text with ex-punter Pat McAfee, my dog, I'm coming back for sure. Going to try and get into the best shape I've been this offseason and get back to the mountaintop. Got a real bad taste in my mouth with how I played in that last game and how I got the guys ready for battle. I can't go out like that. Which was, to our credit, kind of what Wade and I thought when we first heard this.
Yeah, a bad day for the Swifties, right? Because just when you thought Travis was officially going to hang him up, he was going to be nice, he was going to be safe, and in one piece, he says, "No, I'm coming back, so get ready."
Yeah, so certainly great news for the Chiefs, you would think, just because, when he's at optimal now. I mean, I guess the next question is, what can you expect from a Travis this far advanced in his career, relative to what he has done? This will be his 13th season. At some point, there's got to be a drop off, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what
already.
Yeah, and I think that's what the Chiefs are kind of evaluating a little bit. Kelce at this stage in his career, he is not he ain't going first overall. He ain't going in the first round in your fantasy football draft anymore. That's the type of player that we were talking about previously. But he's still pretty doggone good. And the Chiefs have, with Watson and Gray behind him, they've got some serviceable tight ends. So they could be in decent shape. And it sounds like they're getting ready to put the franchise tag on Trey Smith too. So all of a sudden the Chiefs go from having a couple of big questions. Now all of a sudden it looks like they've got 2 of their biggest questions filled right in there.
Answered. Exactly. It sounds as if Trey Smith will be franchise tagged. The former University School of Jackson and former University of Tennessee standout will not be hitting the open market, and that's probably sad news for some Titans fans, as we had kind of conjectured on this show at one time. Third on Pro Football Today's list of the top 100 free agents of this offseason, the 25-year-old 6th-round pick in 2021 has started 67 of a possible 68 games over his last 4 seasons, has started all 13 of the Chiefs' postseason games in that stretch. So certainly would like, if you were a fan of the two-tone blue, to have seen him get out there and maybe get here, but doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. So they're going to kind of keep that line intact with the interior portion of that line anyway. Creed Humphrey at center, who they signed to a big deal over this past offseason. Joe Thuney at left guard. And so getting that center guard tandem locked up seems to be the intent of the Chiefs. So again,
2 of their biggest question marks for a team that, maybe if you're the rest of the league, you're thinking, okay, this is finally the offseason that maybe there's a little uncertainty about them. And then, boom, they've immediately kind of addressed 2 of their biggest question marks, and we haven't even really hit the wild times just yet.
No, we're still, 2 months from the draft. So in free agency isn't for another week and a half, 2 weeks. So, but Kansas City making a preemptive strike right there and telling Trey, no, you stick around. Seattle, meanwhile, could be moving receiver DK Metcalf, who is in the final year of his contract. 27-year-old. Again, 1 year left on his deal in Seattle, could be available, and there is noise being made that it could be a reunion with Pete Carroll in Vegas that is next for the former Ole Miss standout. That would be interesting. I mean, especially considering, you're going to go out and get, arguably one of the better receivers, but you still don't necessarily have who's going to throw it to him yet.
Yeah, that may factor into the plans. Maybe you don't necessarily need to sign as great of a quarterback if you got Metcalf just being able to stretch your defense. Just, hey, we're running 9 routes and 9 routes only. But it's interesting because Metcalf has obviously been productive, but they saw so much from Jackson Smith and Jigba last year that in a way Metcalf seems a little disposable. And so, a chance to potentially get some bang for your buck here if you're Seattle. I find that move kind of fascinating, both for Metcalf where he ends up, because he certainly can do some things and stretch some fields. But then also, Seattle, if they can find a newer, kind of the new hip, the younger replacement in some regards, then they could be right back in the mix as well.
Yeah, and I mean, in the NFC West, where you're dealing with the Rams, the 49ers, and the Cardinals, I see to being at the top of that division. Getting younger at receiver isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, Metcalf is certainly still a quality receiver, and again, he's only 27.
Quality receiver. I'm also wondering too if McDonald, he's a defensive guy. We've talked a little bit about this year. You kind of saw it play out a little bit more. The return of the running back is kind of slowly infiltrating the ranks, and with a defensive-minded guy, kind of a chip off of Harbaugh's block, formerly at Michigan, maybe McDonald says, maybe we could part ways and find a little extra production in the receiving core, but maybe also then kind of bolster up the ground game there with Walker and Charbonnet in the backfield.
That's a good point. And
I could see it. I could see it from the franchise and considering the personnel they got and the coach they have.
Yeah. For Vegas, meanwhile, you split Metcalf wide on one side and you line Brock Bowers up tight on the other side, and you've got defenses in a little bit of a dilemma. Bowers, 112 catches, 1,194 receiving yards as a rookie. Those catches broke a rookie record for a single season. So all of a sudden, you're looking a little potent in the passing game there for Vegas, pending who your quarterback is.
Pending who the QB is, and Jacoby Myers is not a guy that you really think as an elite second receiving option, but man, he would be a really great third option. Caught a lot of touchdowns over his last couple of seasons there. So yeah, like you said, could all of a sudden be a little sneaky good and does not require much of an upgrade at the quarterback position, considering they don't really have a quarterback at the moment. So anything is a little bit of an upgrade, and then all of a sudden now you're in business.
And maybe you're a little bit more attractive to a quarterback as well.
That's another way to spin it, right? Hey, it sure would be a lot easier to sell a quarterback if we already have a guy like Metcalf lining up alongside Bowers. Bowers is already appealing enough, I think, for a lot of QBs. But then you throw in the fact you got Metcalf too. All of a sudden, a quarterback that maybe glances the other way says, "Yeah, I'll go out to the desert."
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, Vegas too. Yeah, sign me up. Shifting gears. A baseball team that did not need anything more bad to happen to them had something more bad to happen to them in spring training earlier this week. Chicago White Sox outfielder Andrew Benintendi will be out for the next 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. If you recall, the Chicago White Sox set major league records for futility last year, the most losses ever in a single season. So again, things not getting any better for them. Benintendi hit on the right hand during a spring training game on Thursday. The White Sox open at home on March 27th against the Angels. Oh, by the way, there's a meme going around. The Los Angeles Angels in Spanish is the Angels.
Double
Had
up.
to be there. Yeah, my delivery wasn't great. Benintendi, $75 million 5-year deal prior to the 23 season. So he's in the third year of a 5-year deal with the White Sox. Hit 20 home runs last year, but batted just .229. So they were looking for a bounce back from him to some degree, but it's going to be a little bit stalled, clearly, with the hand situation. And again, goes from bad to worse for the White Sox. That's a tough one to take.
Awesome prayers, Christopher Gabriel.
Ooh. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Chris, if you're listening, sorry. Speaking of injuries, the New York Mets just signed Nick Madrigal this offseason as a utility infielder. Well, it sounds like he's going to be out for the year. Fractured his left shoulder in a spring training game against the Nationals. Fractured his shoulder. You know, we were talking about Joel Embiid earlier in this segment, and this sounds pretty dang painful as well. Just signed a 1-year, $1.35 million deal in this offseason. Is expected to miss the entirety of the year.
Hope the ink dried on that contract.
Yeah, hope he secured the bag for sure. It sounds like the younger brother of Ronald Acuna Jr. will be beneficiary of this injury. Luis Angel Acuna, who was probably kind of on the bubble as to whether or not he was going to be in AAA or with the big club, but this pretty well cements him as the primary utility infielder for the Mets with Madrigal out. So, or maybe you just tell Juan Soto, hey, sorry, you got to play some second base. We give you all this money. Do something.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah, again, I'm a Braves fan, so anything that happens to the Mets is it is what it is. But you hate to see this. I mean, you hate to see people get hurt regardless of who they play for, and you want to kind of beat teams at their best as well. So, but it's injury added to insult for the Mets, because we talked earlier this week about Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas both sidelined for some period of time in the Mets pitching rotation. Now they're dealing with defensive woes as well due to injuries. So, and it's just spring training. We're just into the first few days of spring games. So hopefully they can get things together and piece things together in time to get the season started. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Let's take a break.
Hey, real quick, Mo, before we get out of here, we're in the grab bag. This is a little trivia nugget for you. We played the clip of the Michigan State buzzer beater 2 nights ago. My beloved Wolverines won up Sparty last night with their own buzzer beater. But here's the trivia for you. They beat Rutgers 84-82 after a 3 as my guy Namari Burnett, who's a holdover, one of the few holdovers from Juwan Howard's tenure. He buries the 3. Michigan has won 9 straight games that have been decided by 4 or less, and they are 11-1 in Big Ten games that have been decided by 4 or less. So the Cardiac Wolverines, I guess, it doesn't really roll off the tongue, but they survive yet again. You don't really think about Rutgers as a Big Ten matchup. You don't really think about Rutgers as being good, but they got Harper and Bailey who are going to go in the top 5 in the draft. So Michigan survives 9 straight games by 4 or less. That's what we call good, clean living, my friend.
That is good, clean living. Absolutely. You know, Dusty got extended here not too long ago, did he not?
Yep, got extended, then lost to Sparty in the same day. But hey, you'll lose the battle to win the war.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously there was a lot of noise coming out of Bloomington that involved him. So yeah, folks in Michigan happy to have that out of the way, and a big win there last night. So
back-to-back buzzer beaters. It's not March yet, but we've already got back-to-back buzzer beaters. Michigan State 2 nights ago, and then Michigan wins it at the buzzer when trailing last night. And it's all roads. If they can beat Illinois and they can beat Maryland, both at home, it'll be Michigan versus Michigan State, Wolverines versus Sparty for the Big Ten championship on the final day of the regular season coming up.
Oh goodness, you won't be watching that one, will you?
I mean, it's on a Sunday at 11 a.m. What else you got going on? I'll go straight from Premier League straight into to Michigan and Sparty there.
There you go. Stick around after this break on the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, because we've got VALAIR SHABILLA on the other side of it to talk NSC. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
The weekend warm-up continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely, and now we are joined by VALAIR SHABILLA of Broadway Sports, talking a little footy. VALAIR, good afternoon.
What's up, guys? How is it going?
It's going well, man. Yeah, we appreciate you taking some time with us to get ready for the Nashville Soccer Club's trip up to New York to take on the Red Bulls. Yeah, we talked about, the season kind of snuck up on us, VALAIR, first of all, or at least it did on me, maybe not so much on Wade. But, they had that scoreless tie last weekend against the Revolution in their season opener. It's not much of a preseason for those guys, but Wade kind of found a positive spin to that scoreless tie with BJ Callahan's bunch. Tell me why Wade's right.
Well, really quickly, we have changed. We're no longer with Broadway Sports Media. 615 Soccer is the new soccer hub of all Nashville, Tennessee. So sorry, it's okay. It happened last month, so it's kind of new. But I just wanted to get the plug away while I'm here right away. But 615 Soccer, check us out. We do everything.
615 Soccer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks
Launched
for
a new
telling us.
company.
Yeah.
Yes. Just so we get the plug out of the way here. But I will agree with Wade. I will agree with Wade. I think it was. I think if you look at the score line, maybe even look at the stats a little bit, you're probably looking at it like, oh, there you go, Nashville SC tied another home game. Nothing new. But if you watch that game and you look at what the product on the field was a completely different thing. Now, obviously, they did come up short, and I don't think anybody's happy with the draw. I don't think anybody's satisfied within the club or the fans even. But I think fans are able to see the sort of progression of the BJ Callahan system, of the BJ Callahan era, of the Nashville SC 2.0 era, all that that the club is pushing. And I think what they can see, what they sensed going into that almost freezing game, if they went to the game or saw on TV, is a team that is willing to take risks, a team that is willing to have the ball, do something interesting with the ball, and not just play, to avoid risk. And I think that was a lot of Nashville SC for what we saw the first few years. And look, they were an expansion team. We get it. You try to avoid risk as much as possible. What we saw on Saturday was something of a, risk taking the pass, being comfortable with the ball, even though they have a few injuries for main players of this starting lineup. They were still comfortable on the ball, even the ones who came in to fill in those spots. They were able to receive the ball, take responsibility, play an interesting pass, or try something. And Nashville SC did end up scoring in that game. It just was called for offside. And honestly, you can go either way with the call. It looked a little bit offside to me, but I don't know. If that wasn't called on the field, I don't think it gets overturned. I think if the goal was counted on the field, I think it just – there you go. Nashville SC won their first game, and we're singing their praises here. So I think those little moments, obviously, if is a strong word, but those little moments would have changed how this match is perceived if you didn't watch the game.
Kind of a lot of talk about the offensive improvement, I guess, quote unquote improvement. But real quickly, talk to us about. A lot of folks maybe assumed it was, 1 for 1. If the offense improves, the defense might take a step back. What did you see out of the guys at the back last week?
I will say we have to keep in mind who the opposition is. And the opposition is a team that was actually worse than Nashville SC last season. So I think
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up, but yes.
I think that's something to keep in mind. However, they made believe it or not, they made, the New England Revolution, who played Nashville SC last weekend, made more changes to their squad than Nashville SC even made. And Nashville SC made a lot of changes. But they brought in like 14 or 15 new players, I think, for New England. That's a substantial amount. It's like a 20-man squad, So it's a lot. It's a lot of turnover there. So it's a new team and a new offense led by Leo Campana, who was with Inter Miami and was playing second fiddle, obviously, to Messi and friends. So ended up choosing to go to New England. He's the man now in New England. He's leading that attack, and I think he's going to be successful. Is it going to work out their first game away from home? Probably not. And I think that played into Nashville SC a little bit to advantage of Nashville SC. But what we saw is that defensive stability being back. And it wasn't all New England being bad. It was also Nashville SC being good. So it was a little bit of both. And I think the main thing that fans saw and were excited about, and I think something that we didn't see much of towards the end of last season, is Walker Zimmerman being back and being that presence at the back, being that presence in defense that not only plays at a level that we don't often see in MLS in terms of center back play, but plays at a level where people around him are also improved. And I think that's something that Walker Zimmerman, being the captain, being the face of the franchise, being USMNT captain at some point, he's the one who leads that back organization that without him, or if he's out of form or not playing his best, I think that entire sort of organization falls at the back. So I think a huge props have to be given to Walker Zimmerman, but also everybody else involved. I thought defensively, Nashville SC looked really solid. They did give up a few chances, which again is kind of what you get when you are going and attacking more. That's exactly right. But I think overall they'll be pretty happy with what came out of it.
I'm also curious, Valaiir. We talk about implementing the BJ Callahan system, and he even said, after the match, quote, it's going to take some time to develop an identity. This is maybe a loaded question, but if we were to assign a percentage, how much of his system, quote unquote, would you say is installed currently, and how much more is there still to tap into in your mind?
I mean, it's close to being fully in. I think so last year I would say it was about like 40-50% is what we saw. Having a full offseason with the guys, changing the formation, changing the shape altogether, that's a huge thing. And that's something I don't think BJ could have done at the end of last year. He had like 10 games, I think, in charge. I don't know, but it just wasn't gonna work out last year if he made that drastic of a change. So he kept things somewhat similar, but tried to implement principles of play rather than the shape, and tried to implement certain things, right? To where now you have an off season, you have your guys in, right? I'm not saying like he went and picked up the guys, but he had a say in who Nashville signed. Maybe it wasn't completely his say, but he had a say. Where last season he walks into a team where the players were already there. He didn't have a say in that. So Nashville go in and bring all these new players in, young, old, different mechanism, some from the draft, some from international, some from other teams in MLS, some from other teams in CONCACAF or North America. You're looking at a team that embodies what BJ Callahan wants to do. So he has the personnel now. He has the formation set. It's really just a matter of time in terms of time on the pitch or on the field. It's how many games can they get in where things can go well and go exactly how he planned to then eventually get a couple wins under your belt, and then boom, we are in the BJ Callahan era. I do think it's if I was to put a percentage on it, it's probably closer to 70-80 at this point. And I think if you go to training and you see how those guys are playing and you see what BJ Callahan is telling them in training, I think it's very clear that it's a different team, it's a different mentality, and a different vibe to everything, really, within Nashville SC.
Valaiir SHABILLA of 615 Soccer joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Valaiir, as you were talking about BJ Callahan's, impact in the off season and that kind of thing in terms of roster development, roster construction, it hit me. Was this kind of a unintended consequence of making a midseason coaching change, the ability for him to get in here and see what he did have and, kind of have a little bit of a feel for it heading into the off season, feeling what changes they needed to make, who they needed to add or subtract, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think Nashville SC did their due diligence in terms of interviewing managers when they let go of Gary Smith last year. And I think their reasoning for it is that they waited a little bit more. They gave Gary Smith a little bit more time for his work and what he did for Nashville SC. At the end of the day, this was a pretty successful expansion team. I know they didn't win a trophy, but at the end of the day, again, they made the playoffs every year, stuff like that. That matters when you're an expansion team. So they give maybe Gary Smith a little bit more time than another team would. And once Gary Smith was out of the picture, they conducted interviews, and it was very clear that BJ Callahan was a front runner. The problem was BJ Callahan was contracted with the USMNT, the U.S. men's national team, and was unable to join Nashville SC until Copa America ended. So that ended up being a long period where Nashville SC had an interim manager in charge where things didn't go really as planned. Not because of Rumbo Mentali, the interim manager, but because you're a period of change and you don't even have a leader picked. So it's just bound to happen. What happened was when BJ Callahan got in, I think it was pretty apparent right away that things were going to change. And I think that happens in every sport. You have a new guy in charge, and the new guy in charge has a clear way of playing. And that's something General Manager Mike Jacobs has talked about. He can't go in as a general manager and recruit players who are the same exact players under Gary Smith that they would be under BJ Callahan. That just doesn't work. It's a different type of player, it's a different player profile altogether. And most importantly, BJ has to also be involved in this process. So being here earlier, being here a little later might have been a detriment to the season last season, but it might have been a really positive thing for this season because BJ knew how to get to the training center. He already had a house figured out, right? His family's moved. He moved here or about to move. All these things that matter, and all these things that kind of took care of in a season where things just didn't go NSC's way. Not that they didn't want to win. Again, it was just consequences, right? To where all of that was last season, where he's able to say, this is a new page, and this is what they kept talking about is Nashville SC Chapter 6 or Nashville SC 2.0. There's a lot of marketing terms out there, but essentially, all of that means is that BJ Callahan's comfortable in his job and is able to lead this Nashville SC into what he thinks and what he believes is a winning formula, alongside Mike Jacobs, the GM, alongside everybody else at the club. They're trying to get behind all this one idea of one way of doing things and the right way of doing things, and it embodies what BJ Callahan is trying to implement. Whether or not it will be successful, I can't tell you. There's nobody can tell you. They can't even tell you. However, there is something about being aligned that at least puts you ahead of the teams that aren't aligned. And I think that is a very important thing to start with, where there was clear, I wouldn't call it misalignment, I guess, but there was somewhere in communication towards the end of the Gary Smith era where things just weren't working out for Nashville SC. Whether it was from the top to the bottom or bottom to the, I don't know. I don't know the details. Just things weren't working out. To where now when you go and talk to GM Mike Jacobs, you talk to BJ Callahan. I was just in Huntsville. I just came back from Huntsville to take a look at Huntsville City FC, their second team. They're aligned all the way down there. They're aligned down the academy. That's something that I think will benefit Nashville. Is it going to be 2025? I don't know. Maybe a little bit later.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask you, Valair, what did you learn from your time down in Huntsville, checking the kind of the quote minor league club out, if you will?
Yeah, first of all, I was shocked. I mean, everybody should go to a game down there. That stadium is beautiful, man. They renovated an old baseball stadium that was kind of left in a really poor state. Joe Davis Stadium, I believe. I think I'm saying this right.
You are.
I think people should check it out. It was my first time there. I was pretty shocked. Brand new. It looks really nice. It's turf. It's not regular grass. It's not natural grass, but it's really nice turf. And the level there is higher than you would think. It's Division III soccer technically in American soccer pyramid. But everybody in there, I think every single player knows that there's a chance for them to make it to the Nashville roster. And I think that's something that didn't exist before BJ Callahan. We saw Julian Gaines last year come and make a few appearances for Nashville SC from Huntsville. This year, we've already seen Ethan O'Brien be on the bench for the first game of the season. That's a purely Huntsville guy. That's not even an academy guy. And obviously, we've seen Chris Applewhite, Adem Sipic, and Isaiah Jones. All three of them are homegrown contracts straight from the academy, where Huntsville is an opportunity for them to go play pro minutes, but not necessarily at the highest level, rather than not necessarily in front of 30,000 fans screaming at you. So, it's a little bit of a step. So I think ideally what Nashville SC would like to have is the academy, and then afterwards have Huntsville. And then once you have that little bit of a pro experience, come and bring you into Nashville SC and have the full on sort of from 12, 13-year-old kid all the way to the pros. And if you look at the soccer model across the world, that's the way to do it. However, the other thing that we have here in America that other countries don't have is the college system. That's something they're not shying away from. Nashville SC is still very active in the college system. And we've seen them pick a few players out of, Jack Mayer is the biggest example, but also Whitemeyer, who just came in and played his first professional game on Saturday. That's a guy who, at 23, he hadn't even made a professional appearance. Generally, that's kind of game over for you in this world. It sucks, but that's the truth, right? To where he comes in because of BJ Callahan playing people based on merit, playing players based on merit. Ethan O'Brien did really well in preseason, So he comes in and gets to be on the bench for Nashville SC, even though he's signed to a Huntsville contract. That didn't happen before. We just didn't see that happening. No matter the injuries, no matter the situation, we never saw that happening. That is something that I think will motivate the guys down in Huntsville to do their best, because there's always an opportunity. And obviously Nashville SC is also playing in the Open Cup this year. So that's even those games I think will be circled in Huntsville as opportunity for Huntsville players to be featured in Nashville.
Valair Shabilla of 615 Soccer joining us here on Main Street Sports today. The Nashville Soccer Club travels to New York tomorrow, taking on the Red Bulls. From what we know about the Red Bulls, Valair, what are our expectations for tomorrow?
So the Red Bulls made the MLS Cup final last year. They lost to the LA Galaxy in the final. They're a good team, if I must say. But one thing we know about the Red Bulls, they play energy drink soccer is what we call it in the industry, I guess. It's hectic, man. They try to cause you as much discomfort as possible. That's their whole model. That's all it is. That it's go, go, go at all times. They don't want the ball. They'll kick the ball high up and just say, let's fight for it. That's their favorite way of playing. That's how they play. I will say every time Nashville SC plays the Red Bulls is one of the worst games in the season to watch. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, it is not beautiful. It is not beautiful. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to sell it, but like, it's
right. Yeah. 6:30 Apple TV if you want to watch, but Valair is saying you may not. So
no, it's honestly, I don't know. With this new era of Nashville SC, I think things might be different. And I will say this: in 6 meetings between these two clubs, Nashville SC has never won. And Nashville SC record in formerly Red Bull Arena, now Sports Illustrated Arena, Sports Illustrated Stadium. I'll get it right. It is not a good record. It's pretty bad. I think they've gotten a couple of draws there, and that's it. The only one they've had was actually beating Montreal, I believe, in Red Bull Arena because it was the COVID season and things were weird. But we're not going to count that. Against the Red Bulls, Nashville SC just have struggled generally at home and away. And the reason for that is because the Red Bulls pressing system. And what we know about them is they're going to play that system. They also have a new signing who came in from Bayern Munich, one of the biggest teams in the world, Choupo-Moting, who will be looking to score his first MLS goal. He'll be motivated. Emil Forsberg is the other guy who's also their designated player. Big name coming from the German league last year. Again, this is a team that made the MLS Cup final, and yeah, they lost a couple pieces here and there, but overall they improved, I think, in terms of that roster, and will not be an easy game. However, I think what happened here at home against New England will give hope not only to BJ Callahan or the fans, but to the players themselves that there's something that they are maybe a little bit better than people have given them credit to be so far. So I think they'll be extra motivated to go out there and maybe, I don't know if we can call it a curse yet, but maybe get their first win against the Red Bulls ever for this club.
Both teams were shut out last week, Valair. Surely we see at least one goal tomorrow, right?
I will not guarantee that. I'm sorry. I mean, it's. I will say this. Both teams actually created enough chances. The Red Bulls a little bit less so, but definitely Nashville SC created enough chances to score. And I think, a half an inch one way or another, they probably would have scored. But it's just these games early in the season, I don't know. It could be a 4-4 draw. I don't know. It's so early in the season. We just don't know a lot, but I think for my money, if I was a betting man, I might be a betting man. Don't worry about it. But if I was, it would be less goals than you would fewer goals than whatever you have predicted.
I smell what you're stepping in. Valair, I'm also real quickly contractually obligated from our pal Clay Tranum to ask, will Everton ever lose a game again? They're flying under new manager David Moyes.
Considering
new old manager, if you will, David Moyes.
I was gonna say, considering they've already played Arsenal, I don't really care. I hope they win. I guess it doesn't matter. They're safe. They're not gonna get relegated, but they're not gonna do anything spectacular. It's just another Everton season, baby.
Exactly. I'm okay. I'm content with that. Just middle of the pack. Sure, why not? Thank you for putting me at ease. At least there, Clay and I will be able to sleep peacefully.
Yeah, this is what I'm here for, to talk Premier League and to make sure you're doing all right and you're comfortable.
It's
Get
a little
way
free therapy session for me. I
comfortable.
appreciate that.
Absolutely. Valair Shabilla of 615 Soccer stopping by to talk a little NSC. And Valair, we appreciate it, man, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me again.
Thank you, Valair.
All righty. Let's take our final break here on the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll talk about what we're looking forward to this weekend. Stick around.
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
The final segment of the weekend warm-up edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. One of the things on this weekend's docket, as we mentioned during the rundown, the Knicks come to FedEx Forum taking on the Grizzlies as the Grizzlies try to build on their 1.5 game lead in the Southwest Division over the Houston Rockets, and looking at a chance to really kind of build some momentum. That this will be the second game of a 5-game homestand for the Grizzlies. They continue. They got a back-to-back tomorrow. San Antonio coming in, Atlanta Monday, and then they cap it with OKC on Wednesday. But, you know, playing at home, got a chance to, again, stack some wins.
Stack some wins, and this one would be much needed because they went up to the Garden earlier this year and got absolutely embarrassed. They gave up 143 points, Mo, to the Knicks, and that's kind of like the equivalent of Nashville SC scoring 6 goals in a game based on what we just heard from Valair. I mean, it was a putrid second half. I watched most of that game. I was so pumped, and then they just got flattened in the second half. So it'd be nice to see them get some mojo going. Hopefully, kind of like you said, they have an interesting stretch here. And then the big news, I don't know what we've done to the broadcasting gods, but you're actually going to be able to watch the Memphis Grizzlies soon without the fear of FanDuel chicanery being involved. They just announced a deal where Channel 4, locally here in Nashville at least, is going to broadcast a couple of their games, including the big Tony Allen retirement night on March 15th. Wow. So 5 games coming up, including the Jazz, the Heat, the Thunder, the Warriors, and the Mavericks, all going to be broadcast on WSMV as well as over in Memphis and in Knoxville. So Memphis better get their act together. You can't just be on Channel 4 and kind of wet the bed a little bit.
I'm because I've seen it somewhere and did not make note of it to bring it to the show. But yeah, that's pretty big. Folks can see the Grizzlies over the air without it being a streaming situation. So that's got to be good for a certain segment of the fan base here locally. But yeah,
you don't have to deal with FanDuel Sports Network. That is the biggest win. If more entities, more franchises would adopt that motto, the world would be a better place because you want no part of that hellscape of an app. Trust me.
That was Wade Neely, y'all. I had nothing to do with that. But anyway.
That's me. Hey, my sister tries to do I get the brunt of that from my sister, too, who's a diehard Preds fan and an even bigger Braves fan. So we get the FanDuel, we get it on all sides all year long. If you have to deal with that app, good luck.
Yeah, our sales team is just saying there went that sale. We won't be doing anything with FanDuel apparently. But
Mm-mm.
anyway, Tennessee baseball, and again, I love talking baseball this time of year because anything warm, I'm all about it. They are out at the Astros Foundation College Classic. They are currently in progress against Oklahoma State, and I've not been able to find a score, but they're playing Oklahoma State right now. That was a 3:00 start. They play Rice tomorrow at 11:05, and then they play Arizona Sunday at 10:05 Central Time. I'm not sure that any of those are available for viewing. If so, hopefully they're not on FanDuel Sports. But 3 chances to go out against some pretty solid competition for the defending national champion Volunteers. Top 10 in the country in batting average and on-base percentage, leading the country in slugging percentage, home runs, and runs scored through this early start. So number 3 RPI, and the best RPI in the SEC despite the schedule to this point. So again, got to be testing themselves a little bit against Oklahoma State, Rice, and Arizona over the weekend out in Houston.
Ball's up 1-0 in the third, so a good start versus Tennessee undefeated, but obviously Oklahoma State's not just a slappy program, certainly. So it's a good test for Tennessee, like you said.
Yeah, and that one was a home run, I believe. I'm not sure who hit it, but I saw something on Twitter about that. Apparently, he pimped it pretty good. So because it is UT. Wade, are you familiar with the name Jake Knapp? And if so, were you familiar with it before yesterday?
I was not. I was certainly not. That's I'm infinitely more familiar today than I was yesterday.
Well, a 59 will do that. Jake Knapp shooting the 15th sub-60 round on the PGA Tour with a 59 to open the Cognizant Classic at PGA National down in Florida. 59. Come get that, everybody else. I assume he's still leading, but I don't really know.
I'm pulling the leaderboard up, and we can safely report. All right, how about that? Shot a 59 yesterday, shot a 70 today, so he's 1 under today. That's still good enough for the lead, but he's all of a sudden got some folks nipping at his heels here.
That's tough. I mean, I didn't expect him to follow it up with another 59, but still, I don't know that I was expecting a 70 either. So, yeah, that's and apparently he missed an 18-foot eagle on 18 that would have given him a 58. Only one of those has been posted in PGA Tour history. Jim Furyk, the author of that 58. But yeah, 59. Not a bad day at the office. 70 is not a bad day at the office either. But
yeah, I love this quote. It says 59 is great, but you could always technically do better. But you could also do worse. A little perspective, a little levity there. I love that. And I'm with him. A 59 is great for me on the front nine. I'll take that. Anytime I'm out there breaking 100, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm kind of strutting around. So a 59, I could dare to dream. And yeah, think about that. You got an eagle putt for a record round. I mean, that's a zone. We talk about being in the zone in a lot of different sports, but being in the zone in golf has got to be just a wild phenomenon because you're doing something that the vast, vast majority of folks can never even fathom or put into context.
Real quick, as we wind things down, the AU Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball season wraps up this weekend. Games tomorrow and Sunday, but this is not the end of AU Pro Basketball in Nashville, apparently. There has been a multi-year deal signed between city officials and AU basketball to come back for the 2026 season and beyond. Great news.
Get them back in there. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, for those of y'all that didn't get down there this year, you got a reprieve. I finally made it last night. It's a lot of fun.
We back that night.
It was fantastic, man. That's going to do it for Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. We will see you all Monday at 2:00. Have a great weekend.